38. Doesn't have a page number. It has a picture though. Okay. It's called The Final Goodbye. It's called Christy Nelson's story. I dropped to my knees while crying. Mom rubbed my back. The officer continued speaking, and that's all I remember. Every word that came from his mouth blurred into nothingness. There are few words and phrases that really stung my ears, and they still echo in my mind to this very day. Explosion. Dead. I'm sorry. People flooded my empty house with hot dishes and embraces that were really not wanted. I didn't want to lose my husband. Who wants to deal with loss or the sudden curveballs that life throws at you? It was going to be a closed casket funeral. Jordan had been in Iraq for 6 months, and he was about to come home on leave. I found out that he was in a Humvee with 2 other men, Corey, who had a family, and Trey, who was single. It hit a landmine, and the vehicle exploded. Both Jordan and Corey died instantly. Trey went into shock, which threw him into a coma. I find myself sitting where I had many times that week, which is in front of my vanity, staring into the mirror. Looking back, I remember my eyes were red, puffy, and dry. As soon as a tender memory of my husband came, small wet droplets found their way down my cheekbones. I just wish I could rewind time. It isn't fair. On the vanity sat my grandpa's old gold-plated pocket watch, its second hand ticking its way around the clock as it always had. As the life ends, the clock kept ticking as if nothing had ever happened. If you could rewind a clock a few minutes before, that person would still be breathing. Now rewind it 4 hours, and the person would be living their lives and probably very unaware that their life would be ending so soon. And yet the hour and the second hand keep ticking onward. Like a piece that I've been writing probably for 6 months probably. And so yes, this is an excerpt from the book that I'm writing. It's called The Created Ones. Deep echoes of dripping water resonate through the cave of the wilder land. Stalactites hang from the ceilings of the cave like dark chandeliers that had been dripping for centuries. The torches flickered light onto the walls, causing the shadows to shift. A mirror was on the farthest wall of the cave, and a man stood in front of it who was completely naked. Andre rubbed his brow and stared into his reflection. His reflection didn't move, but it just intensely stared back into his brown eyes. Andre's hair was dark and unkempt from days of staring into his reflection. God hadn't meant to create him or his wife like this. The thief had haunted Andre for many years, although the thief always was there to guide them. He has helped them give people the right to change themselves into what they want to be. As time went by, they gained more power. He stared back at the man in the glass in awe and fear, for a few reasons. The reflection was everything that he had ever wanted to be, and yet he wasn't fully convinced. Who was the man in the reflection? Was it himself, or was it the thief? You will be able to change major things about yourself if you kill innocent blood, spoke the reflection. Are you sure? Andre asked. Don't question me. You know that the thief always knows best, the reflection scolded him. But moving closer to the other side of the mirror, the one you must take is newly created. She is an innocent one. The reflection of the torch caught Andre's attention in the mirror. It was only a thin piece of glass, which was all that separated Andre and his menacing reflection that kept pacing back and forth inside of the mirror. Deceivingly, his reflection noticed that Andre's mind was wandering. Listen to me, Andre. Isn't this what you want? Andre's attention was back on his reflection. If you kill her, her innocent blood will allow you to change everything about yourself that you are not happy about. Did God want you this way? The reflection questioned. You are disgusting, he said while pointing his gnarly finger at Andre. He frantically looked to the right of the mirror where there was a dark corridor. He could see the beginnings of a flickering orange flame reflecting off of the seeping walls. He frantically looked back at the reflection, who was still pointing his all-too-familiar bony finger at him, while he stared at him with gripping eyes. The reflection had Andre's complete attention back. As Andre looked into his reflection, waiting for the next instructions, he noticed a small peck of black decay on the tip of his finger. It spread upward onto his hand, revealing the reflection's white bone. His face looked old and weathered, as though it had lived 100 years on the sun. His left hand ring finger was empty, with no wedding band. Seeing his grief-stricken face start to wither and evaporate into the expanse of the mirror, leaving it ominously black, unleashing his fears once again. Andre panically looked at his left hand to see if his ring was really gone. Relieved that the ring was still on his finger, he looked down his bare feet on the moist ground of the cave. His worst fears had come true, in front of his very eyes, in the world on the opposite side of the glass. And he couldn't let it happen for real. Pity and regret washed over him as he found himself thinking, where can one find the innocent one? The mirror was just black glass. The soft footsteps grew louder as his wife's silhouette came into view. Her hair was styled like an Egyptian's with golden beads. A sheer cloth dress covered her body. Having been naked, he grabbed his robe off a rock and slipped it on. He ran to her and pulled her into an embrace. He couldn't lose her. My love, I found out what it is that we must do. So.